is a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are St. Louis.
This is St. Louis Cardinals baseball. And a beautiful night here in the Gateway City. Get your tickets, roll through the turnstiles, and get set. It's game number 3. The San Diego Padres and the St. Louis Cardinals. The St. Louis Cardinals in the Central Division. They're 4.5 back of Chicago. Game back in Milwaukee. And in the wild card, the Cardinals also find themselves 4.5 out. And with the Cardinals Hall of Famer Jim Edmonds, I'm Dan McLaughlin. Jim Hayes is here as well. One thing that has stood out for the Cardinals all season long, win healthy, Colton Wong playing every day and putting up some pretty good numbers.
Yeah, and he's done an amazing job this year, transitioning into a better player by cutting down his swing, more of a two-strike approach earlier in the count, and you can see the numbers that he's putting up, and it's just a completely different player, and I like what I see.
Last 15 games, above a 400 average, the high on-base percentage. Had a couple of steals last night. When you think about the on-base percentage, it's been high all year. And in terms of the highest on-base percentage for Cardinal second baseman, currently 4th best. That really stands out. Frankie Frisch, the Hall of Famer, Red Schoendienst, Tommy Herr. That was in 1983. Then Colton Wong and Matt Carpenter. Wong is in the lineup tonight. Weaver was sensational in Game 2. Does it carry over to Carlos Martinez? We're about to find out. Game number 3, Padres and Cardinals coming up. back in St. Louis. It's game number 3. In game 1, Yungvaris Solarte with 6 RBIs. Game 2 goes to the Cardinals. Luke Weaver, 7 shutout innings. How about tonight? Luis Perdomo, a former Cardinal minor leaguer, Rule 5 pickup for the Padres, goes against the 2-time All-Star Carlos Martinez. It's the rubber game. The Padres, the Cardinals, Busch Stadium. Baseball next. Is brought to you by Bud Light, famous among friends. By Chevy Silverado, the most dependable, longest lasting full-size pickups on the road. Find yours at your local Mid-America Chevy dealer. And by Menards, save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. Your Topps trading card set. There's a look at Greg Garcia. Right behind him, that patch of dirt that we talked about. Get a good look at it, the drying agent that they leave out there for Garcia in whatever particular position he might be in that night. And this evening he's at third base. Jed Jerko starts at first. The Hyundai pitch arsenal with Carlos Martinez, and the one pitch you think about especially with right-handed batters, the slider, and he's throwing that 27% of the time.
He's got a nasty slider, but he also has a ridiculously firm fastball that sets up that slider, and we're going to see a lot of that tonight, especially against the right-handers, and we'll see how he does.
So Carlos Martinez looking for win number 11 tonight. Last start he gave up 3 runs in 7 innings against the Pirates and left with a big lead. That was against Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh. The Cardinals eventually held on for an 11-10 win, a wild game last Friday. Manuel Margot, Carlos Asueje, Jose Perella, Yungvaris Solarte, Corey Spangenberg, Matt Caesar, Dusty Coleman, Luis Torrens, and Luis Perdomo. Mark McGwire took out the lineup card for Andy Green's club. Big Mac on the left, Green on the right. And Mark heading into the Cardinals Hall of Fame, open to the public this Saturday, Fox Sports Midwest Live. First innings have been an issue for Carlos Martinez. The ERA 6.84. After that, the rest of the game 2.98. It's a look at your Toyota keys to the game.
Danny, my thing with him in the first inning is just he sometimes goes out and starts a little slow because he's just trying to throw ground balls and pace himself, and then when he gives up a hit or a run in the first, he tries to step it up a notch. and it's not the same. His body's not the same. It's hard for him to dial it up until he can figure it out. He gives up some hits and doesn't throw a lot of strikes when he's trying to manipulate between 92 and 97.
Margot has been one of the better hitters for the Padres here recently, and especially on the road. 360 his last 6 games with 5 extra base hits. Overall batting .268. Well, what can you do to combat someone that has issues in the first inning and then settles in?
I've seen it before where guys have had to throw extra in the bullpen. So we see the base hit to right, and guys will actually go and throw an inning in the bullpen, hitter to hitter. They'll basically call pitches and go through the first 3 hitters. But with a guy like this, with the stuff that he has, he doesn't really need that. Maybe a little bit more focus. And I'm telling you, the one thing that I just don't like about what Carlos does is I think he tries to pace himself too much. And sometimes like that, like if I'm looking at Carlos Martinez and I'm facing him in the first inning, if he's throwing me 92, 93, 94, he's doing me a humongous favor. The ball's not sinking as much. He doesn't have as much command because he's not putting the effort in. And he's just flat out not giving that velocity right there, 93, which he can be at 96, 97 with not as much or not that much effort, because that's what he has in his arm. So I would just like to see him hover around 94, 95, 96 with as little effort as he can, and then he can hump up to 99.
There's Asuaje at the plate. Cardinals defense, Pham, Fowler, Grichuk in the outfield, Garcia, DeYoung, Wong, and Jerko on the infield. Molina behind the plate. Around the horn, presented by Dobbs.
And the one thing, speaking of Molina, I've talked to him a few times about Carlos, and I love Yadi, and he's so into Carlos's games because he's trying to help him. He told me Carlos doesn't believe that he's got the stuff that he has. And I told Yadi, he's one of those kids, Yadi, that I'm waiting for him to throw a no-hitter at any time. And he says, I tell him that all the time, and he says, no way, bro. And that's his way of just being humble, and he just doesn't know how good he is. And when he figures that out, he's still young, he's still immature as far as the big league level. When he figures that out, he's going to be even better. And it'll be very interesting to see the kind of games he puts together.
Ball gets away, throw to second, goodbye. A strike by Molina, who had to even avoid Asuaje at the plate. Strong throw, and Margot is erased.
Danny, this is such a good play by Yadi. He doesn't panic. He knows the ball's somewhere at his feet, and he throws it right over his ear. And another strike.
Asuaje, the batter, didn't even move. Didn't duck. The 2-1 pitch. Fought off, and a base hit into shallow right center. So the first 2 have reached against Carlos Martinez. And it brings in Jose Pirela. Last 3 starts for Martinez against Kansas City, Atlanta, and Pittsburgh. He's won all 3, looking to win 4 in a row for the 2nd time in his career. And the last time, and the only time it happened, was in April of 2016. One out and a runner at first. The slider misses low and away. The Cardinals coming into play tonight, as we mentioned in the open, 4.5 games back of Chicago, just a game back of Milwaukee in the Central Division. Here's a 1-0 pitch. Tapped foul, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike. The talent with Martinez, we saw it initially coming out of the bullpen. He's throwing triple digits with that wipeout slider, and now a starter. And you're right, it seems like anytime he takes the mound, something special could happen with Carlos Martinez.
And sometimes it's just a little thing, like maybe say he backs off to 90% or 85%, and so that last little bit of effort that he doesn't always give because he's just trying to BP fastball to get a sinker to get a guy to roll over is where his life is. Like the life on the ball is that last little effort with the fingers or the hands, and so he's backing off a little bit and he doesn't get the life on the sinker or the slider, and you watch as the game progresses and the ball just starts to take off out of his hand, and that's because he's giving a little bit more effort. And so he's got to figure out how to just be down the middle with those two things. But the talent is out of control.
And that slider a little bit up. It's pitch number 12. It's interesting. He's allowed 22 home runs on the year, and 10 of those have come in the first 25 pitches of the game. So it's another thing to look at where, yeah, first inning's an issue, and early in games might be an issue, and after that he is lights out. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
In the pitcher's world, they talk about breaking a ball off or snapping a breaking ball off, and that's why I'm saying the effort is not always there for him, and he doesn't get that snap on some of his pitches until he gets later in the game. I think he's basically in his mind trying to cruise as far as effort so he doesn't max out early in the game so he can pitch longer.
Here's a 2-2. Change up. Slowly hit towards short. They'll get the lead man. The turn not in time. And it brings in Solarte.
Take a look at this changeup grip right here. Good pitch. Dave Duncan always told me changeups are supposed to be hit. They're meant to be hit because they're meant to be hit like that. A lot of people think swing and miss changeups like we saw last night with Luke Weaver. That's great too, but sometimes early in the count they want you to swing, hit it on the ground, and move on.
Luke Weaver outstanding last night with the 10 strikeouts in 7 innings. Solarte has played third base. He was at short in game 2, and tonight he shifts over to first base. Will Myers has been struggling, 0 for his last 16, third in the National League in strikeouts, so he's on the bench tonight, and Solarte at first, and that's something that Andy Green has talked about. They have a lot of different guys that can shift around the infield. They're trying to figure out the right combination here down the stretch. Here's the 0-1. And it's 0-2, a fastball at 95.
You're starting to see that life. That ball's running a little bit more with each pitch. I think if I'm Will Myers, I'm not arguing about this day off right here.
I agree. Martinez-itis.
Especially if you're struggling. He's a good player too, but that's just my personal opinion.
May go with the changeup here. The 0-2 pitch. Just missed. Normally these start times can be brutal on a right fielder, and with the late season now in the summer, you know, you can at least, if you're in right field, get in the shadow, but the center fielder, not so much.
I think it's tough on the hitter too. As long as that backdrop's still in the sun, I don't think you can get the ball as clear as you want to.
Carlos thought he had a called third strike. It evens it up at 2-2. Tampa Bay a winner today. They'll be in town tomorrow. They defeated the Blue Jays 2-0. We'll continue the homestand, and it's Hall of Fame weekend. 2-2 pitch. And Yadi could not hold on.
Yeah, that ball stung Yadi a little bit. The way he caught it kind of hit him in the palm.
It's been interesting at times when you talk to Tim McCarver about how the hands get beat up of a catcher. And even his hands now, looking at them, I mean, they're beat up. And especially nowadays with the hard throwers. You know, at one point you had Rosenthal, Segrist, Martinez coming out of the bullpen, and Yadi had to go through a couple of different gloves just to get through the year. They all were hitting 98 to 100. Here's a 2-2 pitch. Runner goes, and it's pulled foul. So here we are, 20 plus pitches in the first inning. We'll see where it winds up by innings 6 or 7. As he settles in.
No, the thing, what we're trying to explain too, is you're trying to teach a young man to learn how to pitch in the big leagues, where he's always just been a thrower and been easily to get by 5 or 6 innings in the minor leagues, and even before that, because his stuff is just so good. So now at the big league level, you have to make a little adjustment. No matter how good you are, you still have to figure out how to stay in the game for 5, 6, 7 innings if you're going to be that stud of the staff.
2-2 and a fly ball lifted into center. There's Fowler and a scoreless first inning for Carlos Martinez. Cardinals coming up in the home half of the first. Man again is Kolten Wong, riding a 6-game hitting streak. Jimmy, what are you seeing out of Kolten here recently?
Well, what I like most about what Kolten's done this last couple months is he's made some huge adjustments. You see right here, not such the big swing as he's made an adjustment now, but swinging at fastballs early in the year, hard, too hard, swinging at pitches high, down low, chasing pitches. And you can see right here he's made the adjustment, a little bit shorter swing, more control of the strike zone. And that progression throughout the year is what has put him in the spot he's in right now, which is hitting .314 with almost a .400 on base percentage. I think this is a huge breakout year for him. Even though the home runs aren't where he probably thinks they should be, this is where he's learning how to hit.
And playing every day, right-hander, left-hander, it doesn't matter. Luis Perdomo, the fastball, curve, and change. Originally signed by the Cardinals. The Cardinals have lost a couple of guys in the Rule 5 draft last 2 years to San Diego. Perdomo, the starter tonight, and Alan Cordoba, who's on their bench. 1-2 the count. It's Wong, Pham, and DeYoung, then Fowler, Molina, Jerko, Gridget, Garcia, Martinez. Cardinals did see Perdomo last year working out of the bullpen and got to him. Slowly hit. He'll beat this out. Safe at first. Infield hit. Kolten Wong. Dusty Coleman made that a lot closer than I thought he could.
Well, it's nice that we finally did something on a hitter when he didn't strike out. But you see right there, that's exactly what we're talking about. Early in the year, that's a big swing and maybe a foul ball or a swing through a pitch that's up in the zone. And now he's learned to shorten up and put the ball in play, and he has been hitting balls like that in the second half of the season that have been turning into hits for him.
Wong had 2 stolen bases in game 2, and now it's Tommy Pham. Pretty sizable lead there at first base. Update on Matt Carpenter. He is at the ballpark tonight, told to stay away with a stomach virus for game 2, but here tonight. It's now a 7-game hitting streak for Kolten Wong. Perdomo, very good ground ball percentage. Double play, 6-4-3. Comes into this start atop of Major League Baseball, 63% with the ground ball percentage. And that is double play number 132, turned by the Padres, 6th most in all of baseball. Pirela, Margot, and Caesar in the outfield. Spangenberg, Coleman, Asuaje, Solarte on the infield. Torrens is behind the plate. And in steps Paul DeJong. And there's strike one.
Starting to notice right now already that he's got good velocity, 95, and then he'll take a little bit off and then throw a two-seamer with really good movement. Nice little slider too.
For fans that don't know, two-seamer, four-seamer, explain the difference.
Well, basically the four-seamer was grabbing the ball across the seams, and the ball will spin naturally and keeps the ball pretty straight. Turn the ball to the side and grab the two seams on top of the horseshoe and throw it. That usually runs to your side of the plate, which would be the right-handed side, run into a right-handed hitter. So they'll change it around. Sometimes they'll throw the ball a little bit harder with the four-seamer and then a little less with the two-seamer to get more run to it. If you pay attention to what he's throwing tonight, you're gonna it's gonna be a good explanation of pitches by just watching the velocity and the movement of the pitch.
So 2-out base hit by DeJong, and here's Dexter Fowler. Since he came off the DL, 386, 10 extra base hits. He's driven in 13 and scored 12. Very productive from the cleanup position. And very good, most of his power from this side of the plate this year. And a base hit into right field. DeJong to second, stops there. So 3 hits in the inning. Molina riding a 6-game hitting streak. And a power surge, the BJC Healthcare difference maker the last 3 years. And a power surge here for Yadier Molina, who's up to 15 home runs. And during this current 6-game hitting streak, 5 extra base hits. Back to Perdomo, knocks it down and flips over to first base for the out. Cardinals strand 2, 3 hits in the inning, but can't score. 0-0. Sensational in game 2 last night. With more on that, let's check in with Jim.
Yeah, 7 scoreless innings, 3 hits, 10 strikeouts last night. Luke Weaver jumping back into the Cardinals starting rotation in a big way. Mike Matheny describing Weaver's outing like this: he had everything. We had Luke on the pregame show live. He told me locating his fastball was the key. He said, my fastball set the tone. That allowed me to go off speed late. His fastball had life, too. He was hitting 96 miles an hour on the gun. First time he'd done that this season. He told me, I did feel strong. Maybe being in the bullpen gave me a little more rest and gave me extra juice for the start. The only snafu last night, Luke misplaced his batting gloves before his first at-bat and had to grab Paul DeJong's at the last second, Dan, but that's just a minor detail.
Yeah, that's it. He'll take that every time out. We don't worry about the bat. We worry about the arm and location and going deep into games, and that's what he did last night. He was terrific. Brings in Matt Caesar. When he starts against the Cardinals, and those starts coming when he was with the Chicago Cubs, he's done some damage. 353, 3 home runs, a double. On the year, he's batting .218.
That is Matt Caesar, and if you're scoring at home, Danny, it is SZCUR. Caesar.
Here's a 1-2. Take it just a bit low. Reaching for it to the right side, gloved by Jerko, leads Martinez for the out. MLB.TV every night, every device. Watch every out-of-market regular season game live. Plus, get a free subscription to @Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details. Here's Dusty Coleman. There's a fastball there at 97, but early on we haven't seen a lot of fastballs from Carlos.
And he's been mixing up his pitches and not really going with the fastball after he gave up the 2 hits early.
Coleman, the weak ground ball to Jerko, and a 1-2-3. 8-pitch inning for Carlos Martinez. No score here in St. Louis. Randall Grichuk and Greg Garcia for the Cardinals. T-Mobile Unlimited Baseball Break. Stanton with home run number 47, which leads all of baseball. The return of Robbie Ray for the Diamondbacks. He went 5 innings, and the Rockies snapped their 4-game losing skid. Scored 2 runs in the 8th for a 3-2 win. That's the T-Mobile Unlimited Baseball Break. For Robbie Ray, that's his first start since he was in St. Louis and took the line drive that was hit by Luke Voigt off his head. Very scary situation.
Definitely good to see him back.
Gyorko with 18 home runs. Homered in game 1 of the series. No surprise to do that against San Diego. He has tore up his former team. Did you find he had a little extra gear when you're going against that team that trades you away?
For sure. For sure.
And the strikeout of Gyorko in the first of the night for Luis Perdomo. We hope to visit, by the way, in the 4th inning with Adam Wainwright. Adam's going to come up here in the booth, uniform and all. That'll be fun. Here's Rando Grichuk batting .243. And Grichuk breaks his bat, one hop to third. Spangenberg 2 away. In steps Greg Garcia. Greg is hitting .249, a couple of home runs, and he's driven in 14. Perdomo, his last start was against the Nationals. That was on Friday. A 7-1 loss. Gave up 5 runs, 3 earned in 6 innings. And now moving into that area in which a lot of these guys have not been as a starter. That's September. Wearing down a little bit. Last 4 starts, looking at the numbers, the ERA near 6. And only 1 win. It's something to keep in mind when you think about Jack Flaherty and some of the others that are talked about in the Cardinals minor league system, but the amount of innings that begin to pile up. Garcia strikes out, and we head to the 3rd. There's no score. In the early start tonight. Carlos Martinez, Kubota power stats. A lot of times we talk offense with this particular graphic, but we're going to talk about the power and the velocity. Highest fastball velocity, and Martinez was Severino, Cole, Fulmer, Strasburg, and then Carlos. There's a fastball at 95. It really can act as another pitch for him when he wants to reach back in that bag of tricks and get 97, 98.
Definitely, and that's like, I think especially with the 4-seamer and 2-seamer, you throw in a 2-seam fastball at 94, 95, and then all of a sudden you see the 4-seamer at 98, 99. I mean, it's tough to adjust as a hitter, especially if it's up in the zone.
And Torrens, the fly ball to Dexter Fowler. Carlos Martinez at the Albert Pujols Foundation Golf Tournament. He was the big name there. And he showed some of his talents there flipping pancakes before he went out on the course and took pictures. Cardinals got in late that morning after the Little League game in Williamsport, and Carlos was there to help raise money. And a fly ball into right. Nice play. Randall Grichuk. The diving catch. It takes a hit away from Perdomo. That was to benefit the Pujols Family Foundation and also Tsunami Waves Foundation. Carlos doing great things.
Yeah, those guys came in late, and nice little tribute to Albert by showing up and going out of their way to make the golf tournament. And nice thing for Albert to give back to Carlos's charity too. It's pretty fun. He was full of energy. He's got another gear of energy in there.
Yeah.
He was just on fire as soon as he walked in.
The top of the lineup, Margot, with a single to right to start our contest. He's now hit safely in 7 consecutive road games. And he's had a good series, 4 for 9. A triple, 3 runs. He's driven in a run and also walked. Here's a 2-0 pitch. And I've talked about it numerous times in our telecast and shown the pictures of Carlos with the kids that benefit from the funds raised through his foundation. Going to make another trip to the Dominican, if not 2, in the offseason to deliver baseball items, gloves, bats, some uniforms, spikes, school supplies. And that's a 2-out walk. All Sundays, starting 2 hours prior to every home game, enjoy games, prizes, and free North Star ice cream treats while supplies last. That's in the Ford Plaza, presented by Prairie Farms. He is a giving kid, and he backs it up.
Good for him too. What's impressive is the age. A lot of guys don't get into that stuff until they get later in their career, a little bit older age, and he's already jumped right in and trying to do everything he can at an early age.
Mentioned that Tampa Bay will be in town tomorrow. They have dropped 14 of their last 19. Jake Odorizzi, the pride of Highland High School in Highland, Illinois, led the Bulldogs to a state title while he was in high school. He'll get that start tomorrow. The second time through the lineup, we're seeing more fastballs here from Martinez, at least initially.
Keep him guessing. Liked that the velocity is hovering around 95. I think he's given a little more effort. You can see the results are a little bit better.
And the 0-1. Good pitch, 1-2. The slider to the left-handed batter, Asuaje. The slider, don't throw it, Yadi. Strike 3, out 3. Here in inning number 3. First strikeout for Carlos Martinez. Midway through 3, and there's no score. licensed employee, Melanie Mushagian, there on the right with the Cardinal cap and taking in baseball tonight. Rule 5 pickups from the Cardinals back-to-back years. Luis Perdomo and Alan Cordoba. Cordoba, an infielder, but has played some of the outfield, even center for the Padres. Not getting a lot of time. And the Rule 5, try to explain this the best we can. You always hear it. Well, he's a Rule 5 pickup.
Best
so
you can.
It's the Rule 5 draft. Essentially, that aims to prevent teams from really stockpiling too many young players. So making sure you keep the competitive balance in the game if you can. So you don't stockpile too many of those young guys when other teams would be potentially willing to have them play in the major leagues. Now, if you're chosen in the Rule 5 draft, that player has to be kept on the team that chosen him, the 25-man roster, for the entire year. He can't be optioned or designated for assignment, and the player can be offered back to the original team that he was drafted from for half of what it costs to take him, which is $50,000. So you offer him back and you pay $25,000. That's what you get back in that deal. Matt Bowman, a Rule 5 pickup. And it also has to do with how many years that player's been in the minor leagues, and they cannot be on the 40-man protected roster. So hopefully that gives you an idea of how you pick up a Rule 5 guy.
Basically, depending on the age, but there's a window, 4 or 5 year window in the minor league system where if you're not there, or if you're there that long and you're not on the 40-man roster, like you said, you can go into this Rule 5 draft. Anyone can take you. Now, if you're in AA or AAA or AA, when you get picked up by another team, you have to be put in AAA for the whole year, I believe. And if you are in AAA and they pick you up in the Rule 5 draft, you have to spend the entire year in the big leagues. Exactly what you said, but it's always like the next level above where you played the year before. So I think it is a nice little thing, and you explained it very well, because it does allow the competitive balance in the league, and it's to keep a bunch of kids rotting in the minor leagues in one way, and then, you know, getting them out and letting them play and have a bunch of talent out there for other teams to see.
And the Padres have gone that route, trying to rebuild, where other teams said, well, we're just going to gut the major league roster and get those high draft picks. As Wong lifts it into right, and the catch is made by Matt Caesar. Mentioned earlier, we hope to visit in the 4th inning with Adam Wainwright here in the booth. That'll be fun. Get an update on his arm and the injury and where he's at. Also talk about his big event tomorrow here at Busch Stadium. Here's Tommy Pham, grounded into a double play, first time up. You were telling me, I said, what kind of teammate was Adam Wainwright when you were playing, and younger player then when you were a veteran here with this club, and you said outstanding.
Outstanding, the best gamer. Loved to learn. He had a great group of, I mean, I don't know if you could be brought up in a better time, I think, in Cardinal baseball. Obviously before, back in the day, but for me watching, great group of pitchers that he had to learn from, and it seemed like they were in the middle of their careers and giving out the knowledge, and Adam was just sitting right there soaking it up.
Could be another double play ball. 4-6-3 on the double play. 4th inning rolls in when we come back. in St. Louis, and it always is a pleasure to visit with the outstanding starting pitcher of the Cardinals, Adam Wainwright, who is in full uniform but in the booth. Is this weird, or you know, you okay with
I've done this a couple times now. It's usually I'm trying to sneak up here. You know, nobody knows I'm up here right now. None of those guys in the clubhouse or in the dugout know I'm up here until, you know, maybe there's somebody in the film room right now listening to me. But it's a surprise attack every time.
You want to attack any of the guys right now?
No, they're doing great. They're about to put up a 0 right here and score 3 in the bottom half.
How you feeling?
I'm feeling very good. I'm feeling a lot better. I needed some time off. I just, you know, I just needed some time off.
Yeah.
And my arm wasn't going to get any better unless I just rested it, and that's what I'm doing.
Well, we talked about it. We gave you the ultimate compliment of being a gamer. I mean, you didn't have your best stuff. Couple of
I didn't do any stuff.
Well, that's you saying it. Wasn't your best stuff. You were topping out 84, 85 and still getting people out. But it's a credit to you to take the ball every 5th day, and I know you take pride in that.
Well, it was the first time I did that. I was still able to throw my breaking ball, and it really doesn't matter as much how fast my fastball is if I can still vary speeds with my off-speed stuff, especially my big breaking ball. But the second time I went out there, I was unable to execute that pitch, and that was the key why they scored some runs and why they needed to get me out of there.
So what are you calling the injury? What, impingement? Is that what it is with the elbow?
Yeah, I mean, sort of. It's a mild bone bruise in my joint, and so it doesn't sound like much, but it's kind of painful. But it just didn't allow me to get into the full range of motion in my arm and the back, and that's what, you know, that's where you're drawing your power from.
Sure.
And so, you know, with a little rest, we're hoping that'll be 100% come a few days now.
Yeah, and you expect to pitch. I mean, that's what everybody's been asking about. Well, is Adam going to be done? What does it look like next year? You're pitching this year.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the plan, right? I mean, we still got a long ways to go, and we've still got the best baseball that we're going to play coming down the stretch here with some guys that have been in the playoffs and know what to do. So we're very confident we're going to make this thing happen. But yeah, I mean, as much as I love most of the guys in the media, there's a couple knuckleheads out there that wrote some really ridiculous articles about how I was done and I'm going to have Tommy John surgery. And, you know, they just needed to have some accountability on those ridiculous articles they wrote. But the idea is to come back as quickly as I can and help this team win. But coming back at the same level I was at, this team doesn't want that. I don't want that. We need me at 100%.
You know, Jimmy's part of the media now. He's not lumped in that
We're one
group,
of the
is he?
knuckleheads.
So, hey, Jimmy, some of them are knuckleheads.
I know.
Some of them are great. Some of them are great.
with
You know.
I
know that.
I know.
Well, it's unnecessary to draw a conclusion on something
That's
until
right.
we all know what's going
right.
on. And, you know, you go out there and you try to do what you can. And when you know when you can't do it, you step aside.
Yep.
And you like you said, I don't think people understand the grind on this during the season, and especially on a pitcher, but even on players out there. Sometimes you just need a break. You know, the All-Star break isn't enough. It's nice. I think the 10-day DL was a nice little thing to kind of give guys a little bit better of a break at certain points in the season. And sometimes you just have to admit it. I just need a break. My body is.
And I think you'll see teams really use that 10-day thing a lot more.
Double play. Even with the slow roller, Wong took a chance to DeYoung, and it pays off 4-6-3. You got to love seeing this defense, and Wong playing with all kinds of confidence here recently. What do you see here, Adam?
Well, great footwork by Colton right there at short or at second. But what makes a great shortstop sometimes is the arm that's coming behind the footwork first. I mean, Paul DeYoung's proven time and time again that he's got an arm strong enough to get guys out from deep in the hole. He can turn those double plays quick, and Colt's always been one of the best guys turning that double play up.
How much fun was it for you to pitch with that guy to your right behind you in center?
He was amazing. He'd start running before I even threw the pitch sometimes. I think he knew something was headed towards the gap or where I was throwing
Thanks
it.
to Yachty.
But he, you know, one time I was pitching in spring training, and I was throwing a bullpen session, and he was sitting inside at the table eating some cereal, whatever he was eating, and he was looking out through the door, through this big green mesh thing on the back of the chain link fence, and it's probably, I don't know, 100 feet away from the catchers, from the home plate where the catcher's sitting, not even, you know, adding the other 60 feet where I was. And he walks out slowly and he goes, "Hey, you're tipping your changeup." Turn around and walk back inside. He had incredible vision.
Here's a fly ball into left center, and that ball gets down. Fowler chasing it down, and Spangenberg is 1 for 2 on the night with that double. You guys had some amazing teams when you think about defensively. We talk about it a lot with Renteria, Vina, Gridzalonic, Scott Rowland, Jim Edmonds, yourself had won a Gold Glove. And then the guy behind the plate that's still going pretty strong, and that's Yadier Molina. How much fun is it still to throw to him?
You know what? He's still the best in the game, period. He is the best thrower in the game that I've seen. He still blocks the best that I've seen. He still catches. You know what he does better than every catcher, and it's not even close, is he catches that low pitch and makes it look like a strike without pushing it down. Most catchers push the low strike down into the dirt. He sucks it up like a vacuum and makes it a strike.
There's a strike to Matt Caesar. Look at the soft hands here of Yadier Molina. Beautiful thing.
He has a way to catch the high breaking ball deep into his body too. He can feel when it's not going to come down just as sharp. He'll wait a little bit longer and catch it into his body so the umpire sees that last little bit of drop. Or if it's going to be a low one, he'll go out and get it a little bit and hold it right where it needs to be too. He's a master at that.
Here's a 1-1 pitch to Matt Caesar. And a fly ball into right. Adam Wainwright is our guest, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the great works that he's doing, not only here in St. Louis, but worldwide. The big day here tomorrow for Adam and his foundation. Big League Impact, the initiative started by Adam Wainwright. All proceeds benefit Cardinals Care, the Fantasy Football Challenge. It'll be held here tomorrow. Operation Food Search and the Big League Impact Global Initiative. If you'd like to see more about it, what it's all about, learn more about these initiatives and what they're doing, not only here in St. Louis, but really worldwide, just head to bigleagueimpact.org. Bigleagueimpact.org. Here's Paul DeYoung, Adam Wainwright, our guest. I know you're extremely proud of what you've been able to do, and tomorrow is a huge day for you.
It is a big day, and I was able to share with a lot of our donors already today. I've met with them about 2 hours ago, and I shared a couple pictures with them and told them a couple of stories about going to Haiti and seeing actually the exact spot where their money from last year's event went. And I think I sent you a picture of it too. There's a road.
There's a ground ball that's hit to short, and we're going to show that picture. And what we're talking about is clean drinking water.
Yes.
But go ahead and explain this.
So there's a road that goes through a town called Balan in Haiti, and if you look at the road right there, you see that big puddle across it with the reflection on it. That is the place where, you know, it's the main road through the town. So people drive through it, dogs walk through it, people go through and wash their feet off and their sandals off, and then people come and get their big water buckets and they fill them up, and they go home and they drink their water and they clean with it and they wash their clothes in and they wash their babies. And now, where I was just standing in that picture, just to the right of that last puddle, that is where the water project that we built with the people's money from last year's event. And that's the kind of impact. I like to go there. I like to see it. I like to drink the water and prove to everybody that this is actual legit stuff that we're doing that's actually changing and saving lives. And now, instead of that mud puddle that people are drinking out of. They have crystal clean 99.99999% awesome drinking water that is bacteria free, and now 6,000 people drink from that one water system alone. And so that's just what we do abroad. We also help a lot of people here in St. Louis through Crisis Aid and Operation Food Search. We're feeding thousands of kids and their families backpacks every week to take home to their families so they can eat on the weekends, because sometimes the only time they eat is at school, and then their families aren't eating. And so also with Crisis Aid, we help them shelter battered and women who have been through the sex trafficking industry, which is the fastest growing industry in the world, unfortunately, and it is a major problem here in the United States too. And so we help them house those women, feed them, keep them safe, keep them off the streets, and keep them from going back into that horrible business. We do all that through the world of fantasy football. And I can't be more excited to share those stories with people and to let them know that it's the time that they come in and put in, it's the money they put in, and it's saving lives.
Dexter Fowler rips it out to right center field, and this ball is off the base of the wall. Dexter to second base. I talk about it all the time, and I try to point out, and I don't know if you guys pick up on this, but I try to point out the good that professional athletes are doing. We always hear about the bad stuff. There's a lot of good, and you are hands-on with your foundation. It's not just your name with it, associated with it. You're going to Haiti. You're going to the various places to make sure it's done right.
Absolutely, and when I get done with this game, hopefully I've got a few more great years left to give to this great city. But when I get done with this game, I am convinced now that the reason that I have been granted this platform and the money I've been granted is to feed people. I really have, and to bring them clean water and medicine, and I just feel like that is what I'm made in this world to do. So this is just another outlet for me to do that.
And Molina with a fly ball out to deep right. Caesar backing up to make the catch. Fowler tagging up from second to third. You told me one time that when you die, you hope you don't have a nickel to your name and that you've given it all away, and that it's gone to the right places.
That's right. My financial advisor and I and my wife, we want to bounce the last check. We want to bounce the last check. We want to make sure, and my daughters will know that they'll have to work for what they get too. I'm not going to just silver spoon them, and they're not going to just have this big trust fund where they don't have to work. I want these girls to work. I have 4 daughters. I want them to work and understand the meaning of a dollar, and I want them to have a job and have an effect on this world to make it better. And my wife and I are just totally convicted with helping other people for the rest of our lives. That's really all we think about, honestly.
It's awesome.
Raising some kiddos, and hopefully there's a lot of people we can help.
1-0 Cardinals. Jed Jerko on a fair ball down into the left field corner. Fowler scores, and Jerko does it again against his former team. They can't get this guy out.
He loves hitting against the Padres. He loves it. He loves it.
So tomorrow, we were talking during the commercial break, the fantasy football draft here at the ballpark.
Yep.
And for any fan that's out there right now, bigleagueimpact.org, sign up, come here. We'll take care of you. We can fit you in, right?
Well, that's, you know what? The guys that run the drafts right now are probably cringing when I say this, but
Come on down.
If we had 12 people that would sign up tonight, we'd find another celebrity to play with in fantasy football tomorrow. We just would. You know, that's just because that money would save a lot of people's lives.
Yep.
And so we'll make room, won't we, Mark, from RT Sports? I know we would. But if we don't, we've already. I mean, I think we had 1 spot available earlier. We've already sold out. People in this city have just opened their arms, and I think they've caught the vision that we're trying to spread around here. And we got a bunch of people up in the suites right now watching this game. Hopefully they're listening and feeling pretty proud and giving themselves a pat on the back, because what they're doing is changing. You know, it's slowly changing the world. I believe it.
And you're not only doing it here in St. Louis, but fans should know you've done this with a lot of other teams, and you've gotten the other guys with those teams to get behind this initiative too.
Absolutely. We do it in 7 other cities. We're doing 8 cities total this year, and we go and RT Sports from here in St. Louis, they fly out and they manage the drafts. They do just a spectacular job, and the athletes in those other cities get up to middle. They pick their charities, and so we just take a small portion to team up as a group and go and affect the world in a better way.
Want to stay 1 half inning more?
I think I better go, guys. Thank you for having me, though. I appreciate it. These guys are going to start looking at me.
You got it. Thanks, Adam.
Thank you.
We'll see you tomorrow.
See you, buddy. Good.
waiting for his major league debut. And with more on that, let's check in with Jim.
Yeah, so is his mom. This is Ryan's mom, Renee. So he gets called up after 7 years in the minor leagues. You come in from Los Angeles, and now it's a waiting game as he waits to make his major league debut. My question is, how is mom holding up?
I'm very nervous, but I know he's going to come out and he's going to kick some butt. He's got to. He told me that there were a couple of occasions where he thought of packing it in, but he had a lot of support, and eventually he would make it, and here he is. Here he is. It's unbelievable. I'm so proud of him.
You know, one of the stories from spring training, didn't have a car. He was walking to the complex in Jupiter.
Right.
And then there's Adam Wainwright, seeing him walking. He rents him a car. I guess that story reached you too.
Oh my God. Yeah, I was very touched by it. Adam, you're wonderful. I didn't thank you last night when I met you, but I should have.
He actually was just in the booth. Now apparently
I saw him up there.
Yeah, apparently Ryan just has things going on now, because he was actually supposed to sell his car, maybe get a new one, but that appointment had to be canceled because a little thing about a major league call-up happened.
Can you believe it? He had an appointment. He was going to go. He wanted to trade it in or just sell it and get the money and buy something else, and he got the call up, and he tried to call everybody in his family, and nobody was answering the phone, and eventually he reached everybody. He called Kim, and my neighbor came over, knocked on my door, and said, "Your son made it to the major leagues."
The neighbor found out before you? What happened?
Yes, I didn't hear my phone ring. So I called Ryan, touched base, and we're babies. We're both babies.
How emotional is that when you're talking to your son about getting to the bigs after 7 years?
It's amazing. It's really amazing. I'm very proud of him.
How are you coping with the nerves of sitting and waiting for that moment? It helps to have a microphone in your face, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I'm very nervous, but you know what? He's going to do a good job. He's an awesome kid. He's an awesome pitcher, and he's going to do great.
Could happen tonight. We'll let you get comfortable.
Thank you so
watch and wait. Thank you for the time.
You're welcome.
All right, Danny.
All right, Jimmy,
Thanks.
good stuff as always. Renee there works in the legal department at Fox Sports in Los Angeles, of all things. So mom is a colleague of ours. And Martinez strikes out the side. Renee to Ryan. Great story. To you by your local St. Louis area Volkswagen dealers. Visit VWdealer.com. 10 pitches and he struck out the side. Carlos Martinez. There is a huge Cardinal fan and a great friend of mine that is recovering in Barnes. Had a lung transplant, got out of ICU last night, always watches the Cardinal games, and a great friend to so many here in St. Louis, and that's Mike Shanahan, who is heavily involved with the St. Louis Blues for so many years. And Mike, know that we love you, we're thinking about you, and we want to see you at the ballpark very, very soon. He is a great man. He's done a lot for so many in this community. Here's a 1-1 pitch. So you think Waino goes down to Yadi and says, man, I was just talking about you and about how you frame those low pitches, and you know, you're probably going to the Hall of Fame.
100%. He walked right down there and said, I was just pumping you up on TV.
That's right. 1-2 the count on Garcia. But he is right about those low pitches.
He did it in that last inning.
Yeah, I just mentioned that to our producer and director. You saw it a couple of times. Tom Me and Max Leinwand about that low pitch, able to keep it quietly for a strike.
And that's, I mean, that's not something physically that you can really do as far as get stronger or whatever. It's not only physical, but it's mental too. It's having the idea that that's going to happen and knowing how to go ahead and react to it right away and actually catch the ball first and not just let the ball catch you.
Ground ball to second. Garcia retired. Kick off our Hall of Fame weekend tomorrow. 30,000 fans 16 and older will be surprised at the gates when they find out which mystery Cardinals Hall of Fame manager bobblehead they'll receive, courtesy of Equifax. It could be red, Whitey, Torrey, La Russa. Visit cardinals.com/promotions for tickets. And a grounder hit up the middle off the bat of Martinez. Coleman to his left. 2 quick outs. Long 1 for 2 tonight. The Kia in the driver's seat. Highest out of zone batting average, 296.
I didn't really realize we had a stat for that. That's pretty good though.
Jimmy, there is a stat for
everything. Yeah, we got it.
He's hitting 395 in August. That's the best in the National League. Done a very nice job as the Cardinal leadoff hitter. Games 2 and 3 of this series. Jim had the interview with Ryan Sheriff's mother, Renee, and one of the reasons it was so emotional for them, and Ryan made the call to his mom. His dad passed away in 2012, Larry Sheriff, and of course all the times in the minor leagues, 217 minor league appearances. Pitched at Glendale Community College in California, all Western State Conference South Division. 28th round pick, a lot of bus rides, 860th overall, and here he is in the big leagues. The fly ball out to left, and the Cardinals go in order. We head to inning number 6. 1-0 Cardinals. presented by Budweiser. We saw them in 2008. That's Ryan Ludwig with a walk-off homer. Tampa Bay will be here. Skip Schumacher also got in the act in 08. Tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday, all the games right here on Fox Sports Midwest. A couple of walk-off wins last time the Rays were here. That pumps up Mike Matheny, apparently.
You know what he's doing right there? Heads up, everyone. It's getting a little twilight. The ball gets up in the air, and it's a little hard to see, so everyone paying attention. All hands on deck. So it's weird when the sun goes down below the stadium, it stays pretty light, but when the sun,
it's inside the third base line, and a double for Margot, on base for the third time with a pair of hits and a walk.
When the sun gets below the horizon, and it just creates this like in between sky, which is like not dark and not light. It almost blends in with the ball because of the way it's rubbed up, and sometimes it's tough to pick up in the sky. But most of the time it's a high pop-up. You know, it just kind of gets lost up there in the air. But basically, the infielders will run out towards the outfield pointing, and the infielders will point for the catcher too. So everyone just be heads up.
32nd multi-hit game for Margot. He represents the tying run. We're in the 6th, 1-0 our score. And this could tie it up. Base hit out to left. Margot, though, will be held up with the good arm of Tommy Pham. Runners at the corners, nobody out. Asuaje, his second hit. Now you're getting into the heart of that Padres lineup.
Saw that home run by Ludwig, and then the swing by Skip Schumacher reminds me that Skip was just in town for we had like an alumni legends game. Skip took Brad Thompson deep.
Poor Brad.
Brad, never hear the end of it.
No.
And he was heaving too. Brad was
you
throwing
said he was
good.
throwing hard.
He was throwing hard, and Izzy was throwing hard, but I know that Skip's not going to let Brad live this one down.
Here's Pirela. Skip, by the way, working in the front office for the Padres. One of my all-time favorites.
Great guy.
Pro's pro, man. I mean, he got the best out of his ability. Really was beloved by so many here in town. Remember the family that he was helping out back then, and the community got behind him, and that's because Skip was good to the community. Many got behind him to help that cause. Here's a 1-1. 2 balls and a strike. Teams hitting just 195 with runners in scoring position against Martinez. And Skip had one of the most famous at-bats in postseason history. The rally squirrel, that's number 1, but also his at-bat against Roy Halladay in 2011. That epic game with Halladay and Carpenter. And Skip had the base hit that scored a run, and the only run of the game. Part of 2 World Championship clubs here in St. Louis. What a guy. The 2-2 pitch. And the 3-2 walked him, so bases are loaded. When the Cardinals hit a home run, get a free frozen Coke or McDouble the next day with the McDonald's app. Download it for exclusive deals. Well, bases loaded here and some trouble for Carlos Martinez and Solarte, arguably their best hitter, along with Will Myers, who is struggling coming up. It's a one-sided conversation there with Derek Lilliquist and Martinez. Solarte very aggressive sometimes early in counts. We'll see if he does that here, and when he does, he's done damage, hitting nearly 400 on the first pitch.
Yeah, and I looked like what Lilly was saying is I saw what he said. Part of it was don't throw a strike with it. So knowing that he will chase maybe out of the zone, he's telling him if he gets ahead, just not lay a slider in there for a strike. Make sure you finish it and keep it out of the zone.
First pitch to him. He's taken low.
This is one of those guys that you said hits 400 in the first pitch. This guy can turn around a fastball. And so if he gets a fastball in the first pitch, he's going to let it fly.
Bases loaded, nobody out. 2-0. Inning started with a double by Margot. Suaje, the base hit to left, a walk to Birela. And now 2-0 on Solarte. Big pitch in this game right here. 3-0. Over 450 feet on Tuesday. Part of the 6 RBI night for Solarte. Swinging on 3-0. Popped up. DeYoung is there. What a big out that is.
Huge out right there. Go back and see this pitch right here. And this is what I'm talking about, life. This is the 97-mile-an-hour fastball. It doesn't hit his location, but it's got that extra life. And gets on the hitter. You can see he jams him. Pops it up to short. It's a big, big at bat right there.
It's on a 3-0 pitch, too. Now Spangenberg.
Yachty's going to go out there and try and fire him up right here.
He's grounded into just 2 double plays this year. He doubled to left center and also grounded out to second. Martinez has induced 71 ground ball double plays since 2015. That's the most in baseball. He'd love one right here. Back to him, to the plate. High throw over Yachty to the backstop. And the game is tied in what could have been an ending double play. Third error on Carlos Martinez.
Makes a great pitch right here. And this is sometimes what happens when you're such a good athlete. You don't do the things that you're supposed to do, and which is set your feet and get the ball to the catcher. You can see he goes too quick. No need to rush. And just lofts it over Yachty's head.
Now regrouping against Caesar. That had a little extra on it. 97. You know he's frustrated. He's upset. Very well could be out of the inning.
This is where the maturity level has to come in play and say, okay, once again, you're 1 pitch away from getting out of this inning.
Slowly hit Garcia to first and save at first. Cardinals will take an extended look. Are you surprised Greg did not go to the plate?
He didn't have a handle on it. I'm surprised he didn't look at the plate. But I don't think he had much of a play, and then he didn't get the handle right away. think that ball, when that ball kicked on him, I think he gave up at the plate. Just worried about getting one out. Amazes me how good these umpires are in close plays.
So the infield hit, RBI for Caesar, his 16th. The bases remain loaded, and it's the first lead of the night for San Diego. Fastball to Dusty Coleman. He struck out and also grounded out. Oh, 0-2. Pitch count has jumped up now to 87 with this long extended top of the 6 for Martinez. The 0-2. So 19 pitches here in the 6th. He had 22 in the 1st. And he struck him out. Strikeout number 5 for Martinez.
Little spinning slider right there, pretty much right down the middle. I think he was hoping it wasn't a strike. Times you're up there just not knowing what to look for against a guy like this, and you don't see what you're looking for, and you just hope that it doesn't end up over the plate.
Wong ranging to his right. What a play, Cole Wong. That saves a run, maybe 2. Outstanding for Cole Wong to his right, then throwing across his body to the bag at first. Well done. 2-1 San Diego. San Diego lead. Martinez with the bases loaded, could have been out of this jam, and what a play here by Cole Wong. There's Tommy Pham, who is grounded into a pair of double plays. I don't think Carlos was sneezing at that point. May have looked like it. Here's a 1-0.
Some of those familiar cuss words in Espanol.
Commercial break. Mark McGwire acknowledged by the crowd here in St. Louis, and he came out tipped his cap, put his hat to his heart, pointed to the crowd. Neat moment.
Should be fun on Saturday, don't you think?
I think it's going to be great. I don't know how he's going to get through the speech. Pham fights it off and a fly ball into right, and the catch is made. He has been extremely emotional in the interviews that he's done. With me alone, he was ready to break down a couple of times. He had tears in his eyes and talking about St. Louis. He said, the first at bat in St. Louis, I know, and I knew I was here to stay. 4.5 years, and heads into the Cardinals Hall of Fame on Saturday. Here's Paul DeJong, who is 1 for 2. He said the most meaningful part of it is that the fans voted me in. So they showed me what I, meaning Mark, what I meant to them. DeJong is 1 for 2. Each night of this series, we've been taking a closer look at the Hall of Famers going in. As DeJong stays away, we've talked about Tim McCarver and Big Mac and his impact here in town, and Pepper Martin also going in. The family of Pepper will be here, the leader of the Gas House Gang.
About the 20s? I know you were still doing games when you were young
started.
at that point.
The wild horse of the Osage, the Gas House Gang, and Pepper Martin played outfield, infield, even pitched in the minor leagues. And in low minor league ball, he was even helping out with the grounds crew. And before the first pitch, Jimmy, he literally would drive a wagon around town to announce the start times of games to get people to come to the ball game that night in the minor leagues. DeJong pulls it fair inside the third base line and down into the corner. DeJong on his way to second base, and the Cardinals have the tying run in scoring position. His second hit of the night. Reminder that we have the Hall of Fame ceremonies this weekend. It is open to the public at Ballpark Village. Edward Jones, the proud sponsor of the Hall of Fame, Saturday at 2. And we will have the television edited portion down for fans that can't make it here after the game on Saturday night, Sunday again before the game, and throughout next week. That pitch taken inside. Some of the speeches have been short. Others, you can't say that.
You can't say that.
Just being kind. They were just a little bit longer than others by maybe 25-30 minutes.
It's usually the ones with the paper on the desk.
Fowler, a ground ball hit to second baseman Carlos Suaje. Pepper Martin, also known as John Leonard Roosevelt Martin, leader of the Gas House Gang, 4-time All-Star, 2-time world champ. He was great in postseason play. As remember, they would just go to the World Series, and he hit .418. He'd love to run. Run. That's what he did. Apparently, there's a large contingent of the Martin family that'll be here this weekend. Here's Molina, who is 0 for 2. 284 his average with runners in scoring position. You'll be signing autographs early on Saturday morning over at the Hall of Fame. Is that right?
Yes, I will. I'll be there, I believe, from 10 to 12-ish over there at the museum.
And a strike at the knees. Molina, fair ball, and this game is tied. Yadi around first base. He'll stop there. DeYoung scores. Yadi back to the bag, and it's a 2-2 game. Barely fair inside that third base line, and that's where DeYoung's was as well. The helicopter going back.
Those little air brakes.
Here's Jedd Gyorko, RBI double. And a nice play there by Torrens to keep that in front. Molina is now third in hits, and you see what Gyorko's done against the Padres. Molina third in hits among catchers. Jedd Gyorko loves batting against San Diego, and they ring him up on that pitch. He didn't like it. 9 straight games against his former team with an RBI. Pair of RBIs in each of the last 3. One ball, 1 strike. Chicago leading Cincinnati. That's a 2-1 score in the bottom of the 6th.
You see those 2 check swings by Gyorko. That's what the sinker will do to a right-handed hitter. The fear of the sinker can put some awful ugly swings into a right-handed hitter at some point. Worried about that ball coming in on your hands.
One and 2 the count. Molina has been jumping back and forth at that first base bag and may surprise many, but Yadi with 8 steals this year. Doesn't chase that time. Molina also is hit safely in 10 straight against the San Diego Padres as he visits there with Solarte. The 2-2 pitch. He chased that earlier in the at bat, and he's made the adjustment.
Well, you have to make the adjustment. I think early on you're looking fastball and you're not really worried about the slider. And if you look too much fastball, then you start check swinging and get into the situation he got into. You do that twice, you're definitely not going to do it a third time. You'd rather get beat by the fastball than swinging a slider in the dirt. Talk about hitting the middle in between both pitches so you can be ready for the fastball but not be too early on the slider.
That one he hung. He's had some pretty good ones.
I think the difference too is the two-strike slider you can throw with a little bit of conviction in the dirt, make it look like a strike and bounce it, or your strikeout pitch. You can't afford to do that with 3-2 count because now you almost have to throw it for a strike, and that's the one that stays up in the zone too long. You're hoping he's just still looking dead red fastball.
(3-2), and he walked him. Good at bat by Gyorko.
See all those pitches down, a lot of sliders, even a fastball down, but go to the well too many times and the hitter can start to recognize more and more every time you throw it. So not a surprise right there that Jed laid off those last couple sliders.
It was a look at your Chevy Fox Tracks, and here's Randal Grichuk, who's grounded to third and short, 0 for 2 tonight. He's about due. Maybe hang one of those pitches. And it's pulled foul. Perdomo's work by Yenning up to 75. Right-hander and a lefty throwing in the pen. Oh, 0-2. Gotta think a slider's coming. Here's the 0-2. There it was in the dirt. Did not go. 1 ball and 2 strikes. And Randal knows it's coming too. I mean, that's how they're getting him out. 2 strikes, you're ahead in the count. He just went with Jerko with a bunch of sliders. It's about making that adjustment.
And like I said, it really is. You just have to get to the point where you're hitting is where you're not trying to do too much with the fastball so you can recognize the slider. If you see spin, you have to slow down. Most of the time take it. But that's all caused by being able to relax and not worry so much about the fastball and trying to hit it too hard.
Yadi is running and the pitch is put into play. Slowly hit left side. Molina, the 2-out double. Come on back, Yadi. Rip. Put on the brakes. We're tied 2-2. Pair tonight, a couple of doubles just inside the third base line. It starts with Paul DeJong, and then with 2 outs, Yadier Molina. This double, almost the identical spot. State Farm, perfect pair. Now that's kind of a fun kid way to do it, right? I mean,
the air brakes.
Yeah, you got
to have fun every now and then.
Hopefully, our right fielder is not picking dandelions. It's another thing you might see at a Little League game.
On a cell phone now. New era.
Yeah, things have changed. We're in the 7th inning. Alan Cordoba. So a shortstop in the minor league system of the Cardinals and a Rule 5 pickup by the Padres. He's talking with Mark McGuire about Cordoba, and he thinks he's going to be a very solid major league player before it's all said and done. Popped up to Colton Wong. And he makes the catch. The Mike Shannon alarm clock is coming up. Sunday, August 27th. Mike Claiborne there on the right, Mike Shannon on the left, and Jim Jackson, the producer engineer. It's brought to you by Goodwill. Longtime organizational employee is Pat Kramer. He helps run the clubhouse spring training and works with the Peoria Chiefs, and his mother just passed away, and we want to send our condolences to Pat and his family. Been around a long time.
Yes, he has. Hard-working boy. Good guy.
0-2 the count. Manuel Margot. And a swing and a miss and a good slider. 6 strikeouts for Martinez. Carlos Asuaje. The slider in the dirt for ball 1. Two balls and no strikes. Asuaje is 2 for 3. 2 singles, 1 to left, the other to right. Called out on strikes back in the 3rd. Pulls that foul. Two 1 pitch.
A lot of changeups tonight.
More than likely the final inning for Martinez. Pitch number 100 upcoming. He's due up second for the Cardinals in the bottom half of the 7th. .22 changeups tonight for Martinez of his 100 pitches. And the 3-2. Ground ball. Jerko to the bag. Padres go in order. Let's stretch here at Busch Stadium. Tie ball game. It's 2-2. Cardinals Hall of Fame.
It won me over from that first night on August 8th when I stepped in that batter's box. It was like this doesn't happen to anybody. It's like really they give you a standing ovation for your first at bat, and we had many standing ovations years after that.
Mark McGwire with Jim Hayes yesterday on the pregame show, and I'm really looking forward to his speech on Saturday.
Should be a real tearjerker.
Yep. This is Greg Garcia, who is 0 for 2. Craig Stammen, right-hander. We saw him in game 1. 2-2 our score, and a swing and a miss. He'll throw that changeup more against the lefties, not often. Curveball, slider with the fastball. There's a slider, 0-2. The Hyundai pitch arsenal on Stammen. Carlos Martinez, his night is through. Jose Martinez at the on-deck circle. Cardinals could still make a winner out of Carlos. 1-3 straight, as we mentioned. Only 1 loss in his last 7 starts, which he's gone at least 5 in all 26 starts this year. Well, it's been a good year for Carlos. Temperatures ideal tonight. Beautiful night. Expecting good crowds this weekend with Tampa Bay. Here's a 1-2 and a strikeout of Greg Garcia. So Stammen gets the strikeout in relief of Perdomo. Beautiful night here at the ballpark. It's the Gateway Honda home run inning. Cardinals hit a home run. The Gateway Honda dealers will donate $1,000 to the Make-A-Wish Foundation of Missouri. Well, Jimmy, we've been talking about it, how good the Cardinals have been pinch hitting, and that means Jose Martinez, 444 in the pinch with a couple of home runs off the bench.
This guy has a good solid at bat every time he steps up there, so perfect for him. I think when he's going up there to pinch hit, he's ready to go when he gets up there.
Here's the 0-1 pitch. That time he lays off the slider. 1 ball and 1 strike. Here's a 1-1. Up the middle, base hit. Just over the bag at second base. May have caught it. Hard hit ball off the bat of Jose Martinez.
Jose does a good job right there. Takes a wild hack at that slider and takes a slider and gets himself a fastball to hit. Hits it right back up the middle where it came from.
Here's Kolten Wong back to the top of the lineup. Infield hit back in the first. He's flied to right and to left. Tyler Lyons getting loose in the Cardinal pen. Lyons has been spectacular. 14 2/3 consecutive shutout innings coming into play tonight. Second longest streak in the major leagues. Wong base hit into right. Martinez to second base, and he'll stop there. Back-to-back singles, and it brings in Tommy Pham. The second hit of the night for Wong. Highest average in August Colton at 392 and follow right behind him. It's the highest, though, in the National League. There's Tommy Pham. He's grounded into 2 double plays and also flied out to right. Cardinals pick up a run. Be a chance at a win for Martinez. Pretty shallow in center for Tommy Pham. Big gap in left center. And strike one. There's a 0-1 pitch to Tommy Pham. Breaking ball and strike 2. You had to be pretty impressed with Perdomo, the Rule 5 pickup that we saw out of the bullpen last year for the Padres. Pitched well here tonight.
Definitely had some good stuff. Good sinker, good live fastball, breaking ball.
Here's the 0-2. Foul ball. With the 2 double plays that he's hit into this evening, Pham is up to 15, which leads the Cardinals. Sometimes it's a bit misleading because that means you're hitting the ball fairly hard too.
Yeah, it really does. And hit the ball. I mean, they obviously don't want you to hit the ball in the air all the time. So hit the ball hard on the ground, get some shots through the hole, but definitely does have its problems, and that's the ground ball double play.
Tommy has been through so much in his career in terms of injuries. Oof, right off the top of the foot.
Right on the top of the bones.
Former Cardinal Neil Fiala watching baseball tonight on Fox Sports Midwest and celebrating a birthday tonight. See if Pham can't give him a present. Runners at first and second, and the 0-2 pitch. Uh-oh, double play ball. 4-6. 3 on the double play. He's hit into his 3rd of the night. Here at the ballpark. 2-2 our score. Tyler Lyons is into the ball game. Nasty, nasty, nasty stuff coming out of the pen from this lefty. 14 2/3 consecutive scoreless appearances. Those innings. Stranded 7 of 8 inherited runners. Came into the ball game last night. Runner at third. Nobody out, and got out of that jam.
Yeah, he's got a sneaky fastball, and he's got that devastating slider that can throw. I think he throws it from different angles, because a couple of times it'll come across the zone and then it'll come down through the bottom of the zone, and hard to pick up.
Jose Pirela is at the dish. Then Solarte and Spangenberg. Phillips 66. What's in the tank? 20 pitches last night. The breaking ball taken low. It's the rubber game of this series, and that traces back the origin of rubber game to 16th century English game of lawn bowling. I know you knew that, Jimmy.
It was all over it.
2-1.
It was a question on the New York Times crossword the other day.
Oh, was it really? Here's a 2-1 pitch. Fly ball into right, racing over Grichuk. That'll find the seats out of play. I'm sure you completed that crossword puzzle and probably did it within, what, 15-20 minutes?
I did one question the other day. Someone sent it to me, and it said St. Louis Cardinals center field slugger. I got that one right.
So Taguchi. Taguchi.
It was 7 letters, I think.
Oh.
Started with an E, ended with an S. I was quite impressed, though. Someone sent it to me, a picture of it.
And a leadoff walk issued by Lyons. This copyrighted telecast presented by the authority of the Cardinals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals. You can see here initially with Lyons not nearly as sharp as last night, and that's, you know, the role of a bullpen guy. Go to back-to-back games, you may come back without your best stuff. Find a way.
Find a way to get outs, even when you don't have the stuff, just like what Adam Wainwright was saying.
There it is, Edmonds. Slugging center fielder, Edmonds. 2-2 our score. Here's Solarte.
Said slow center fielder. Sorry, it didn't say slugging.
Solarte, this would be the lesser of the sides in terms of power and average. Switch hitter at first base tonight. Well, you say you were slow, but I saw you get to an awful lot of fly balls.
Just like Adam said, I was running while it was being thrown. I had to.
Anticipation. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Runner at first is Pirela. Better slider there. 0-2. Runner goes. Molina towards second, and no chance.
Got a big jump right there, and Yadi didn't really have a handle on that ball after picking it out of the dirt. No chance.
Here's a 1-2. Go ahead run in scoring position. And Molina, runner at second base. Probably conversation twofold, changing up the signs, and also let's get on the same page and what we want to do here.
Just went out there and said, hey, let's go 1, 2, 3 with these outs right now.
Boom, boom, boom.
Let's get it out of the way.
2-2 our score in the top of the 8th. The 1-2 is pulled foul, and it almost got the third base coach. His brother was a pretty good one, Trevor Hoffman.
Glenn Hoffman's been standing down in that third base box for a lot of years. Good man. Funny. Keep you on your toes in that dugout in the locker room.
Trevor on his way to the Hall of Fame. Mariano Rivera as well. But Lee Smith should be in there too.
Got that
Here's
right.
a 1-2 pitch. You agree with me on that one?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Lee Arthur strolling out from the bullpen to the mound. Some nasty stuff. 486 saves, I believe. Here's a 1-2 pitch. Pulled foul again. Dodgers beat Pittsburgh 5-2. Ryu with the win. Arizona over the Mets 3-2. Arizona leads the National League wild card. Robbie Ray did pick up the win, 10-5. Miami 5.5 back in the wild card. They win over the Phillies 9-8. Colorado over Kansas City. Rockies the second wild card team right now. 3-2 the final there. The 1-2 pitch. So Marte pops it up. Big out here. Runner will stay put at second base. Jerko makes the catch. And the hitter will be Corey Spangenberg. Hitting .251 against left-handed pitching this year. One out, runner at second. The pitch taken high. Spangenberg tonight a double to left center with the bases loaded in the 6th. Rounded back to Carlos Martinez, and what could have been an inning-ending double play turned out to be an error on Carlos. Run would score. Then the next man up, Matt Caesar, would single. That gave the Padres a 2-1 lead. Cardinals have come back to tie it up. It's 2-2. Fastball right down the middle. 1-2.
Good job by Yachty right there. I think that last pitch that he was sitting all over that slider and he let it get a little too deep, hit it foul. But that's a sign of a good hitter. Stays back, hits the ball the other way. Yachty sees that, tries to go fastball in and just freezes him. There you go again. Whew.
It's the exact way that Adam Wainwright was talking about how Yachty is able to sell this pitch low in the zone.
And no chance of hitting this either.
Breaks his bat, slowly hit towards first. Jerko flips to Lyons for the out.
Great job right there, recognizing somebody's sitting breaking ball, just attacking with the fastball.
Long-awaited super fight between Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor. It's here. It all begins Friday, August 25th. The weigh-in is live on FS1. Saturday, August 26th. The action's on Fox. Host a special pre-fight show at 5, followed by a huge prelims card at 6. After the super fight, don't miss the post-fight commentary interviews on FS1. Here's Caesar. His single was an infield hit with the bases loaded back in the 6th. 2-2 our score. Go ahead run at third base, and Molina again calls time. Cardinals in the wild card, 4.5 there, 4.5 back in the Central. Importance of every single game. So as we speak, both 4.5 games back, Central Division and the wild card. Come to the ballpark, you got a chance to play for something. Here's the 0-1 pitch. And he hit him. It did check to see if he swung the bat. Apparently did not. And so it's a hit by pitch. Remember, the Cardinals were hit 5 times last night. On the post-game show later, you'll see the highlights with the Tigers and the Yankees from earlier today. And that catches
him on the knee.
Yeah, the back of the back knee, the right leg. But Yankees and Tigers cleared benches 3 different times in that game. The Dodgers, we mentioned, they beat Pittsburgh today, so now 90-36. 90 wins already before September. 21 games in front of Arizona and Colorado, the 2 teams that if it ended today would be in the playoffs.
Wild card. Wow.
They are featured on the cover of Sports Illustrated, most recent edition, and I'm not sure that that is a good sign for LA.
The old jinx.
You got it. So 2 outs, 2 on. So it was 20 pitches last night, 20 now currently for Lyons. And they're going to pinch hit Coleman with Will Myers. So Solarte could stay in the game, go to short. Myers will stay in the game and take over at first, more than likely. Mentioned that Myers is 0 for his last 16. And here comes Derek Lilliquist. Remember, Lyons came into the game last night, runner at third, nobody out. Run did not score. So pop out to first, then 2 strikeouts. Tonight, the leadoff walk, stolen base. It's a pop out, then a ground out, and a hit by pitch. And here's Tyler Lyons in a jam last night in relief of Seung-Hwan Oh. What a job. Scoreless inning, back-to-back strikeouts. So 2 outs, 2 on. Will Myers at the plate, former Rookie of the Year with Tampa Bay. He did that in only 88 games with the Rays. Just wonder, part of that conversation is to say, look, we know he's 0 for 16. He may be struggling, but this is one of the better hitters in the game. You do have a base open, that second. If you load him up, so be it.
Still a base open. Second base, first base, whatever. There's a base open out there. You got to be careful.
It looks like they're pitching around Myers. It always makes me nervous if you're saying, hey, let's pitch around him. Why not just put him on? Don't take the chance with a guy that, if you just make that slight mistake, could bury him.
Well, and also if you bounce one here and Yadi can't block it, giving up a run.
3-0. Luis Torrens, the on deck circle, 0 for 3 tonight, getting well below 200. Molina sets up a foot outside, and there's ball 4. So they pitch around. Will Myers, bases loaded here for the Padres in the top of the 8th. They'll pull back Torrens and go with another pinch hitter. Or will they? That'll be it. So Hector Sanchez, switch hitter, will be the pinch hitter. Inning started with a walk. Caesar hit by a pitch, walk to Myers, so the base is loaded. Sanchez 6 for 29 with 8 RBIs as a pinch hitter. From the right side of the plate, hitting .261, .243 from the left side. His left side, though, the power side for him. Right now, the Padres, they don't need power. They just need a base hit. Walk, wild pitch, anything. And there's a strike. He does have 3 pinch hit home runs. Tied for the most in Major League Baseball. Oh, 2.
Probably 2 of his better curveballs in this inning.
You go with another one here, bounce it.
If I'm going to go with another one here, I'm not going to go with that exact same one. Maybe run something up, maybe in.
He got him. Strikeout for Lyons. Padres strand, the bases loaded, and it stays a 2-2 game. Bottom of the 8th rolls in at Busch Stadium when we come back. Is brought to you by Bud Light, famous among friends, and by Ford, the official cars and trucks of the St. Louis Cardinals. Good work by Lyons pitching out of that jam. A couple of walks, hit by pitch, bases loaded, and gets the strikeout of Sanchez. Stammen is still in the ball game. Solarte, as we mentioned, would probably move to short. He has, and Will Myers stays in the game at first. Hector Sanchez stays in to catch. So here's DeYoung. And the first pitch taken for a ball. DeYoung is 2 for 3 tonight. Single to left and a double inside the third base line back in the 6th inning. And he scored the game tying run. 2 balls and no strikes. So Andy Green trying to squeeze a little bit more out of Stammen here in game 3. DeYoung drives it into left center. That ball is down. He's thinking 2 out of the batter's box. He'll stop though at first base. Pirela got to that ball quickly and back into the infield. Leadoff single for DeYoung. Plaza Tire Service, Fox Tracks.
Thought this was going to be a double all the way.
Me too.
I'm not really sure if I wanted it to be a double all the way, and I saw something that wasn't going to wasn't happening, or if he just made a really nice play. I was rooting for the double.
Here's Dexter Fowler. Outfield is deep, especially in right. Fowler 2 for 3 tonight. Single to right. He doubled in the 4th and also grounded out to second. Big hole on the right side as Myers is holding DeYoung at first. No stolen bases for Paul this year. And the 0-1 pitch. One ball, one strike. How about Paul DeYoung? It's already the 8th time that he has had a 3-hit game. That's only one back of the team leader, Jed Jerko.
It's like you said, he just has those good solid at bats. He doesn't get frazzled at all. He stays with his game plan every time. Can't tell if he's 0 for 4 or 4 for 4.
In the bottom of the 8th, and the Cubs a 2-1 lead against Cincinnati. Here's a 1-2 pitch. Ooh, tough pitch to take. 2-2. You've noticed that with Dexter, now watching him every day in St. Louis. Very good batter's eye. Doesn't chase a lot of pitches out of the zone. He's calm and he's confident with 2 strikes.
He's got quick hands, and I think he knows he can get to certain pitches when he has to. But it allows him to let the ball travel a little bit because he can throw his hands at the ball.
The 2-2 pitch. Fowler, base hit into right. DeYoung to second and stops there. That's one where you maybe want to see him push it. By holding that runner at first, this squeaks by Myers.
And that right there, him stopping right there, makes him think that he has to stop at second base. Sure, as much as he'd like to get the third right there, that little pause probably scared him from trying to keep going.
Yadier Molina. The Cardinals with runners at first and second. Kirby Yates, right-hander, throwing now in the pen for San Diego. Stammen is up to 21 pitches. So again, Andy Green really pushing him here. A guy that has had a lot of work coming into this series anyway. Andy Green calling time. Yates is loose. Been throwing a bit now. The concern you have from the Cardinals' perspective would be the double play off the bat of Molina. Cardinals have hit into 3 of those tonight, all 3 off the bat of Tommy Pham. That'll be it for Stammen. So Andy Green taking all the time he could to give Yates all the time he could to get loose. The crowd tonight, 38,726. 38726. 2 runners on, nobody out. Yachty coming up when we come back. Lifetime experiences, Cardinal games to amazing concerts to shows you just don't want to miss. StubHub connects you with the world of live. StubHub, your ticket out, the official fan-to-fan ticket marketplace of the St. Louis Cardinals. Kirby Yates, his numbers with the Angels and the Padres, second appearance in this series. The most double plays the Cardinals have hit into this year, 4. Did that at Pittsburgh earlier this month. Cardinals aren't thinking double play, they're thinking the lead. Runners at first and second, nobody out. Yadier Molina coming up. One sack this year. I would think with a man at second base, the Cardinals would be bunting in this spot, because then even with Molina running, that's the chance at a potential double play too.
Yeah, I think this is one of those situations where the standard baseball rules don't apply. I think you almost, if a manager, have a conversation with your hitter, see how he's feeling first of all, see if he's faced this guy. I mean, I really would weigh in everything if I was making a decision here. I don't think it's cut and dry.
Molina on the first pitch hits it out of play. Solarte, the shortstop, is trying to keep DeYoung fairly close to the bag at second base, so he's more towards up the middle. Spangenberg, the third baseman, is in on the grass, so huge hole on the left side and a big hole too on the right side. Will Myers, first baseman, is in.
With
You just shoot it to right.
With Yachty hitting here, that's dangerous to play the infield the way they're playing right now. especially because he hits the ball through the right side so easy. And when he does roll over the ball, he hits it to the shortstop or just to the left of the third baseman.
Yates has struck out 10 of the last 16 that he's faced. Third baseman backs up a bit, even now with the bag, so if he bunts, it needs to go towards third. 0-1 pitch. He's swinging, and it's 0-2. He'll throw that slider against a right-hander about 40% of the time.
That one backed up and went down.
Molina is 1 for 3 tonight. His base hit was a double inside the third base line with 2 outs back in the 6th to tie this game up at 2. Molina hits it towards second. 4-6-3 on the double play. The stretch by Myers. The 4th double play the Cardinals have grounded into tonight. And 3 of the 4 have been started by the second baseman.
Watch Dexter Fowler right here. Just the old school baseball takes over. So hard to just slide straight into the bag when you know the game is on the line. Both the infielders for the Padres pointed at him as if to say, hey, it's a double play ball if he doesn't turn it.
Well, against the Padres, this is probably the guy you want up. Dexter explaining himself, sliding through the bag at second. One thing that they could do here is bring DeYoung, I believe, back to the bag at second base with this. It's rare that you see this type of challenge on a double play that is turned. But I think the reasoning here is that if they deem that the slide is illegal, they can bring back then DeYoung to second base.
That would be one that I don't understand.
Yeah, rarely, if ever, this is the first time I've seen this, where you have the double play turn and then they challenge anyway because of the slide. Well, the Padres, one way or another, they have turned 4 double plays, and that ties their season high. So the play stands. Double play. The Padres challenge. And DeYoung stays at third base. So the call is confirmed. Got to be able to get to the bag, and Dexter was able to do that.
The call was neither confirmed or denied. Still trying to figure out what was going on.
I wonder if the Padres are saying, do we pitch to Jerko? Would you rather deal with Randal Grichuk? Especially with this guy's slider. That was the slider there to Jerko. Eleven of his 18 home runs have been hit when the Cardinals are trailing. 12 of the 18 have been solo shots. Love to change that here. The 0-1. 0-2. Good fastball at 94. Cardinals have Sam Tuivailala getting loose in the pen. Four for 10 in the series with 5 driven in for Jedd Gyorko. Tonight an RBI double back in the 4th. See, the catcher wants him to bounce it. How about a wild pitch? Almost got it. Nice play. Boy, that's a good play.
It's a great play. It's a risky call.
With the
Mark in the
confidence
morning.
to have a catcher to be able to do that in this situation in the 8th.
Especially with that would look like to be a split. You don't know how that's going to bounce.
Here's a 1-2 pitch. Down and in, 2-2. The 2-2 pitch. And on the hands of Gyorko. 95. See, Yates is tough.
Got a good arm, short, quick. You can tell by just the 94 was sneaky because it jumped on Gyorko earlier. Good slider and that split. One's the slider, I think.
2-2 pitch. Slider. Three and 2 the count. Wouldn't see a fastball, you wouldn't think.
No. Back to the slider. See the ball in his glove right there, the white. Got his hand around it.
Got him. Strikeout of Gyorko. Cardinals get the first 2 runners on and cannot score. They've hit into 4 double plays. The Young stranded 2-2 as we head to the 9th. Potentially if Cincinnati holds on, if the Cardinals can win. Chevy called to the pen. Boy, a missed opportunity there for St. Louis to get the first 2 runners on. Here's Sam Tuivailala. Jabari Blash will be the hitter. And batting in the 9th spot. Just past Wong and into right. Breaks his bat. And a base hit into right field. That's also where you look at the play of DeYoung, where he does not go to third base on the base hit to right field. You know, those little things can add up. You can understand why he didn't. You also can understand why you take the chance too.
Yeah, and that's what when I was saying about the double, even just the double, I knew how important that could be. Just kind of wishing him to second base. Left fielder made a good play getting over there, but kind of see plays develop and you just kind of think in your head, this should be a double or this should be first and third, and you go back and look at the highlights and see why they're not.
The strike to Margot with 2 hits tonight, run scored and a walk. Lions a scoreless inning in relief of Martinez. And now Sam Tuivailala. Blash in 34 games, no steals. And the breaking pitch taken low. Here's a 1-1. 1-2. When you see that 4-2 score against the Cubs, late innings here in St. Louis takes on greater importance.
I think if I'm the scoreboard operator, I'm flashing that right now. Trying
Put
to
it
get
in
a
big
little
letters.
little rally going.
Bold.
4-2 in the top of the 9th now.
Chicago has won 8 of their last 10 games. Cardinals have dropped 6 of the last 10. In a 2-2 game here in the top of the 9th. Two balls, 2 strikes. The lefty Brad Hand getting loose in the Padres bullpen. Big gap in left center. The 2-2 from Tuivailala. See if they want to start the runner in this spot. 3-2 the count now. And Margot has not been striking out. He's been putting the ball in play.
I mean, you have nothing to lose as the San Diego Padres, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Sam's got to throw a strike. These guys can put the ball in play.
There he goes. Hit up the middle. Wong won't get there. Blash on his way to third. Runners at the corners. And the throw to the plate, back to second, and in there safely. No one was there for the cut, and it's second and third and nobody out. The careless play here by the Cardinals late.
As much as that's careless, that is heads up by the hitter. Because right here, you can see no one's at second and no one's at the cut. And you're taught to throw the ball into the infield as an outfielder. There's no one there, so he basically just throws it into no man's land. He's hoping someone's going to run over there. He's basically throwing it right at the mound, right where everyone's supposed to be. Heads up play by Margot.
Swahe, left-handed batter. Matt Bowman along with Duke getting loose, so Duke would face Swahe, and then you'd have to presume that Bowman then would get the remainder, but we'll see. 2-2 our score. In to face the lefty, infield drawn in. Carlos Swahe, a single to right, a single to left. Was called on strikes back in the third and grounded out to first. So the game on the line here. Back-to-back hits against Tuivailala, and here's Duke. And the first pitch is tapped foul. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Ground ball, base hit into right. Run will score. Margot is held up, and the Padres back on top. It's now 3-2. Just under the glove of Jerko. And that'll be it for Duke. Here comes Bowman, and our Chevy called to the pen, and the air has been let out of the stadium. appearances, and after his first pitch in this game, it'll be 63 for Matt Bowman, most in the big leagues this year. Does have a day of rest. ERA of 4.38, so called upon a bunch, and he's in a heap of trouble right now with runners at first and third and still nobody out here in the ninth. Jose Pirela, 3-2 our score. A couple of walks, a stolen base, and a single here tonight. Infield is drawn in. There's strike one. Cardinals will have Grichuk, Garcia, and a pinch hitter coming up, looking ahead to the bottom of the ninth.
Hopefully right here Matt Bowman can go out there and, at worst case scenario, get a ground ball just to get an out. Maybe it's close enough to the bag at second. They can turn two and keep the runner at third, but he's going to be running, so he's looking for one out at a time right now.
Pirela did have a base hit and an RBI the other night against Bowman in game one. The runner at third and less than 2 outs, 6 for 13 with 7 RBIs. That's a .462 average. Here's a 1-1. The Padres have not won a series against the Cardinals since August 21st of 2015. The last series win at Busch dates back to the home opening series of 2011. And the 2-1 pitch. Popped up and out of play. Remember, the Cardinals came into this series having won 6 straight against the Padres a year ago. And potentially on the verge of dropping 2 of 3. The 2-2 pitch. 3-2. The dangerous Solarte at the on deck circle. You may want to turn him around potentially with a lefty. We'll see. This could be just a 1-batter appearance for Bowman and then keep rolling the dice, because after Solarte it's a lefty. Runner goes, and a fly ball into right. Grichuk with the catch. Throw to the plate. It's in time and save at the plate. Well, the Cardinals really have nothing to lose in this spot. Why not challenge? This late in the game, that important of a run, unless it's clear and they know that he's safe, go ahead and challenge. Question will be, did the right foot of the runner ever touch the plate, or is it still on Molina's foot?
We're getting technical. It's hard to tell. That's one of those ones you stay, it's so hard to tell that you stay with the call on the field and there's really no great angle.
I would imagine this may be our best look because of what you're talking about, not having a great angle, that they stay with the call on the field.
Yeah, it might hurt it.
Very tough to tell. again, they can enlarge this in New York, really blow it up to take a look if the right foot of the runner ever gets to the plate. My guess would be he'll be called safe. My heart tells me he's out. It's now a final. The Reds have posted a 4-2 win over the Cubs. Lorenzen picks up the victory. He's 8-2. Jose Peraza, 2 RBI ground rule double, gave the Reds a lead in the 8th. So he's safe, and it makes it a 4-2 San Diego lead. So if you're Mike Matheny, do you go to Brett Cecil and keep Solarte hitting from the right side of the plate, or you can just walk him here, and then with the lefty coming up, go to Cecil to face a lefty? Maybe. Or just stay with Bowman and try to get the ground ball double play.
Well, I would walk the guy to first, and then I would go after the double play ball. But Mike thinks something else.
So Cecil coming on to get the lefty. Spangenberg. Chevy called to the pen. From the Cardinals' perspective is that Cecil has really struggled against the lefties this year. They're hitting .354 against him. It would have been interesting if Mike Matheny went with Ryan Sheriff in this spot. Now it would have been his major league call-up. You're in a pennant race. It's a late game. I get it, but the lefties in the minor leagues were hitting .198 against him, and he has not allowed a run in August. So the Cardinals going with the veteran here in Brett Cecil. And Corey Spangenberg, who's a .211 hitter against lefties, digs in. And there's ball one. Last hour we've had 7 pitchers used and 7 outs recorded. Here's a 1-0 pitch. This is what you get in September with the expanded rosters and lefty-lefty matchups late in games.
Especially when you're out of it. But
yep.
I think when you're playing for something, try to use your guys when you can and save the young guys for games that are out of hand.
Clearly a very important game here tonight with the Chicago loss. And it's 1 ball and 2 strikes. Cardinals, as we speak, 4 games back. If they win, 3.5. If they lose, they'll stay 4.5 back. And a strikeout. Spangenberg didn't like it. Plaza Tire Service Fox Tracks. There's Matt Caesar. And a strike. Oh, and 2. Good work by Brett Cecil. Back-to-back strikeouts. Bottom of the 9th. Cardinals, do they have some late inning magic? We're about to find out. And is into the ball game from Minneapolis, where he was the Minnesota Gatorade Player of the Year when he was in high school, and has been with Miami, and now in his 2nd year with San Diego. Nissan drive of the game, Carlos Asuaje with this base hit under the glove of Jed Jerko, and they would add another. They've taken now a 4-2 lead. So here's Randal Grichuk to lead things off, and then we'll see a pinch hitter, Carson Kelly for Greg Garcia, and then after that another pinch hitter. That'll be Cecil's spot. 4-2 our score. Hand with 83 strikeouts. That's 3rd in the National League among relievers, and 5th overall in baseball. The former 2nd-round pick by Miami. Here's a 1-0 pitch. Drive, left center. Gone! A line drive home run. Randal Grichuk gets out of here in a hurry. It's a 1-run Padres lead. Woo.
Tries to sneak a fastball by him right here, and I don't know if you can hit a lower line drive for a home run than that one, and as hard as you can hit a ball. This ball was blistered.
Here's Carson Kelly. Breaking ball and a strike. Stephen Piscotty moved to the on-deck circle. Here's the 0-1 pitch. 60th career home run for Randal Grichuk. One ball and one strike on Kelly. High fly ball into center. Out number one. So Grichuk the solo shot to make it a 4-3 San Diego lead. Here's Stephen Piscotty. Nearly had a 2-home run game the first meeting of this series. Homer to right center, then pulled one down the left field line that was barely foul. And we've been noting that the at-bats have been better since he's been called back up.
And shorter. Better idea of the strike zone, been better balanced.
0-1 the count. Kolten Wong on deck.
Sometimes you can tell by just the way a hitter will take a pitch. If he's got a better idea at the plate or if he's feeling better about his at-bats.
Ooh, good rip. Piscotty hitting .234 against lefties this year. 3 for 4 as a pinch hitter this season with a double. In the hole, 0-2. Brad Hand 11 for 15 in save opportunities this season for the Padres. The 0-2 pitch. It's a game and a series that would be tough to give away and drop 2 or 3, especially knowing tonight that Chicago has lost. One ball, 2 strikes on Piscotty. And the Cardinals down to their final out. And it's Kolten Wong. Another start and a good one by Carlos Martinez, our Budweiser player of the game, with 7 innings tonight. You think back to what could have been an inning-ending double play, and the ball hit back to Martinez with the bases loaded. Padres had not scored. He committed an error. They would score another run after that. That's a big difference in this contest. Wong has been very good against left-handed pitching, trying to extend the game. Strike one. 357 his average against the lefties. 2 doubles and a home run. The 0-1. Curveball again. He spun away from it. Strike 2.
Pretty good slider right there. It's a couple of good ones he's really thrown that have broke down and hard. That one's a little bit bigger, and you can see it. And it got the attention of Kolten Wong.
The 0-2. The Padres come into St. Louis and take 2 of 3. The final tonight 4-3 in a very tough, disappointing late loss again for the St. Louis Cardinals.
Yeah, you said it earlier, the tough play. Carlos Martinez, super athletic, but sometimes when you don't set your feet for the simplest plays, it can get away from you, and that cost him the ball game pretty much right there. And Tough one to lose.
Post-game show is coming up. All the news, stats, and highlights around the game. 4-3 the final. Padres take 2 of 3.